Welcome to Entering the Darkness podcast. Of course, this is Colin, and of course, everybody knows the bearded man with the glasses, Dan. And we
Oh,
are
wow.
here of course, with the legendary Vernon Go from the Philippines of Pulp Productions and Pulp, just in general, if you knew about that in the Philippines. And we just want to welcome you here, Vernon. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
All right,
Where
Dan.
do you guys where you guys podcasting from in the
He's
US?
actually in Michigan. He's in Michigan. I'm actually in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, nice. I have a bunch of friends in Phoenix.
Yeah, tell them
Yeah.
not to come to Michigan. We got snow right now.
Woo! Wow, yeah, I do watch your news every day. I see the weather is crazy.
Yeah,
Horrible.
it's definitely horrible.
Man, well, you're
Mhm.
gonna get some exercise shoveling that snow every day, I guess.
I try to avoid it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So Dan, do you want to do you want to start us out? I mean, because you told me you have a few questions for Vernon.
Oh, man. I got a bunch of questions for you, Vernon, so bear with me here.
Okay.
You've been doing what you've been doing for how many years?
Uh, well, if you mean music, I guess that's about Pulp's been around for about we're celebrating our 25th year.
Oh, wow. Now, when you're putting together Pulp and just any sort of concert or event or experience out there, is there one particular event that you put together that at the end of the day you sat back and you were like, I'm proud of this one. This one has everything I want, everybody I want. This is the one. I feel accomplished. What was that event that you put on that made you just feel accomplished and that you were the most proud of?
Oh wow. I don't know if I could single any single event out in quarter century, but I certainly was proud to bring Aerosmith to the Philippines. Um, it's just that band and who they are and Steven Tyler, Joe Perry, just meeting them and and bringing the show and the music to the country is just amazing. I mean, it's an honor. Um, a number of the Pulp Summer Slams I put on where I got to meet people as a teenager I would admire. I mean, Dave Mustaine, Kerry King, uh, Scott Ian, you know, so many of them. I mean, to meet them and you know shake their hands and talk with them and a lot of these bands I really got to develop friendships with over many years.
Nice.
So yeah, I can't really single anything out. I mean, it's more, you know, I mean, it's nice to see a big crowd, but at the end of the day, it's really more about the music and meeting the artists and I I think I've obviously very lucky or I haven't really met any assholes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Vernon,
Okay.
me and Colin both know a
Or
lot of
or
people.
I've met assholes and I've forgotten them quickly.
Yep, there. That's a good
You
one
know,
for sure.
Vernon, me and Colin know a lot of people that know you within the local scene out there, and everybody is very thankful and they feel blessed about what you're doing. You're somewhat of an icon over there with what you do, and you know, you look at a lot of countries that have a lot of love for the music and the arts, and the Philippines just seems to be one of those countries that are in my top three in the world that have such a passion for music and the arts, and you've kind of been instrumental in putting the Philippines stamp on the world as, hey, we love live music, we like to rock and roll, we like to have a good time, and we like to support. And a lot of people are very thankful and they see you somewhat as an icon in the Philippines for making this happen.
Well, okay. It's the first time I'm really hearing that, but that's nice.
It's
Uh,
been yeah. There's been a couple times where I talked with one of the members of Shadows Fall a few years ago,
oh
and
wow.
I think it was Jonathan. I want to say, might have been
The name
um,
tracks
uh,
now?
John. No, John Denice. I think yeah. I think it was. I think
Yeah,
he
he's
was the
in
one I was talking
Anthrax
to.
right now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he was the one I was talking to. I can't remember. I'm not sure if it was him or which one it was. But it was right after right after, or it was about a year or so after they had come the last time. And there was all those pictures there. You guys were like all in they were like at the beach, like wherever it was you guys went when they were here the last time, when they were in the Philippines the last time. And I said something about like, I said, dude, Vernon's definitely, living it up with you guys, bringing over some of like the craziest bands ever. And he's like, he basically praised you. He was like, dude, the guy's awesome. He was awesome. He's like, they did a lot. They did a lot for us with Pulp, and it was really, there was like nothing but praises basically, in that sense. It was just it seemed like they were incredibly grateful, you know what I mean? Especially Shadows Fall, you know?
Yeah. That those guys are really really fun. I mean, amazing. I remember I think it was Matt and Jonathan. Um, they arrived late. I think it was the first time we brought them in, and we ate at this shitty chicken barbecue place, and they took over the karaoke there, and oh my god, that was when I could still drink a lot.
Oh yeah, dude. I actually remember the very first time that I met you was, I think it was Dying Fetus when they came in. And
Oh wow.
me and my buddy, we were like the first ones there. We were there like early in the morning. I think you let us stay there, like wait for a little while, because at first we're like, are we supposed to even be here? There's nobody here. And then, and when we saw you come in, we are like, oh God, please don't, please, like, we're thinking in our mind, please don't get us in trouble. Please don't kick us out of here. And you let us stay. And then I remember that Sean Beasley came out after they came in. Like, we actually saw the band come in, and I remember Sean Beasley from Dying Fetus came out. He just walks up like this, lights up a cigarette. He looks over. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" And we just start talking to him for like an hour. You know,
Yeah.
that was really cool. That was like, and I was just, and then after that, I was like, "Wait, this is Paul Productions?" They're like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Dude, this is fucking cool." This is like, and then, we didn't realize that it was, like a I didn't realize it was a big thing at the time until everybody was telling me that, hey, there were, like the year before there was like Testament and all those other bands that had come through and all this other stuff. It was just so crazy. I mean, like, how were you able to get those guys?
I mean, we negotiate a fee and we sign a deal, and that's how it goes.
Definitely, definitely, man. And it was,
I feel like the Philippines, from being over here in the States and talking to a lot of bands that tour and stuff like that, a lot of bands I've spoken to, when I said, where's the most funnest place to play? A lot of them say the Philippines. They love coming to the Philippines and playing, whether it's Pulp or just other concerts and stuff. That is one of their favorite places. I always hear the Philippines and Australia. It seems those are the two hardest countries to get to consistently, but they're the most loved that they like traveling to.
Yeah, well, I'd imagine so. Like, you fly halfway across the world, and you get welcomed, and you try different food, meet new people, play your music. I mean, yeah, I'd feel the same way. I mean, I grew up in Canada, so I know how it is to live in a cold place, and to get out of there for a bit. That's awesome. Yeah,
oh yeah.
and
And I
it's also
remember,
nice that you get treated right. So I mean, we're all human beings. We try to treat people as well as we can.
mhm,
Simple as that, really.
hold on. And that was it? I remember too that Hatebreed, when you had Hatebreed, I think the first time over there at the World Trade Center. Oh my God, that was, I remember, like, the one thing that I took from that, other than the fact that it was a freaking awesome concert, awesome show. Um, that was the very first time I ever got my ass kicked in a pit. Like, normally I don't. I got my ass kicked so bad in that pit. It was so crazy, and that was the only time I'm up in front of like the stage, like screaming, like, yeah, like actually begging for more people to kick my ass. Actually, it was really cool.
Oh wow. I haven't heard from Jamie Josta in a while.
I did see Hatebreed. Probably, we're talking about mosh pits and stuff, and coming of age, especially Colin and mine and your age. I don't get near mosh pits anymore. But I was at a Hatebreed show at a venue that's famous down in Detroit. I won't say the name because I don't want us to get sued. And Hatebreed was playing, and I felt that itch, but I had to remember my age and my gray hair, and I'm like, I can't get in the pit anymore. But I do champion on the youth the young ones, and I get them hyped up, and then I throw them to the fire. It was at a Hatebreed show.
No, I was telling Dan Hatebreed gave one of what my personal favorite performances at Pulp Summer Slam. Jamie did a cover of, I mean, it was around the time when Jeff Hanneman died, and he did the cover of Ghost of War, and it was the most incredible performance. Everybody was waving their handkerchiefs up in the air, and it was Hatebreed is just one of the greatest live experiences ever for during the Pulp Summer Slam time. Yeah.
Vernon, I want to go back and ask you a question. You said you were able to get Aerosmith over.
Oh wow! I wasn't gonna do it, but my wife said, better go do it, because like the agent, we're sitting at home in the Philippines, and the agent says, well, listen, you have to we want you to fly out here. We want to meet you. I had to fly to a number of places. Like there was a sub agent and then the main agent. So I had to go to LA, and then I had to go to Montreal to get the deal done. And with only 2 months to promote the show.
So I imagine that you would have had to play the role of like a Dale Preston off of Wayne's World too, and you had to fly around. Was there anything specifically that they made you do? Nothing weird, like
no.
M&Ms or anything?
Oh no.
The lore.
I think that's the thing about when we're growing up and learning about the artists and the musicians that we love, that you always hear all these stories like the Aussie back.
Right.
There's nothing too crazy going on.
Now, is there any memories you have of any cool interactions with Aerosmith once they made it over? Was there any conversations or anything cool that happened with the band that you can remember?
The manager, who's also a legend, her name's Trudy Green, and she managed people like the Rolling Stones, Michael Jackson, Aerosmith, and she was like, oh, she's this little English lady, oh, Vernon, have you met Steven yet? And I said, no, not yet. Actually, well, not formally, because I picked him up at the airport, and it was the last airport pickup I've ever done, because it's just so crazy. Like I was like walking with Steven and Joe, and mostly Steven, because all these people were pushing and banging me on the head, just trying to touch Steven Tyler. I said, this is the last time I do this bullshit.
Oh man!
So I just send the staff to pick up our artists. But yeah, I met Steven Tyler. Steven Tyler, he's like, oh hey, yeah, you know what this is all about, because sales for the show wasn't fantastic for the investment, but again, it goes beyond. I mean, as a music fan, it goes beyond just a business for me, and even for my wife, Happy. I mean, we love music, but
it's a passion.
And Steve goes, yeah, you know what this is all about, son. And I was like, no, sir, what's this all about? And he says, it's about the pussy. I was like, yes, sir. And yeah, and well, he did have two special people with him. One is a dude who's like his personal security guy, and one was a chick, super hot, with like his personal physical, I don't know, physical therapist. And I could only imagine what kind of physical therapy she gave him.
Oh my God.
That seems like a very Steven Tyler thing to say too.
Oh, good God, yeah.
I mean, clearly this girl could have been his daughter, but I believe he actually married her.
Oh yeah, Steven Tyler. Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm saying that with like a cigarette too.
No, he doesn't smoke.
Oh, he doesn't.
No, yes. And I remember too that you guys, when you guys first brought Megadeth out, that was really cool. That was a
Oh,
really, really cool.
we did it a few times, at least twice.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I think it was.
I did a headline show for sure, and we did they headline Pulp Summer Slam, and yeah, Dave Mustaine is an amazing guy, really cool guy. I was shocked one day. I was sitting at home and I got this call from an unknown number, and I usually don't pick them up. I picked this one up, and there was this raspy voice, "Hey, Bert, I got this idea," and it was Dave Mustaine. I was like,
Yeah, that's oh man. It was like well because I saw it too like when they first came over you guys like this big video thing where I guess they were in the back of the SUV they were asking like what the jeepneys were and you were like describing what they were and everything like that and it
"Oh
seemed like
yeah, that was Junior Dave Ellefson who was talking about that." Yeah.
mhm. It was like it seemed like they were just so like just in awe of like the Philippines like they'd never like because I don't think they'd ever been there before so it was like it seemed like they really enjoyed it I wasn't I obviously I wasn't able to make it to that show but like it seemed like it seemed like they just really enjoyed being there. Mhm.
That was our first time. We had a real experience because there was a typhoon, and
Uh-huh.
we were staying at the time at the what was at one point the West End Philippine Plaza by the bay,
Mhm.
and hotel that after the show they were trying to evacuate everybody because
Mhm.
the wind and the water was getting into the hotel, and we I basically told the GM, um, you know, there's no way Megadeth's gonna leave their room. They're sleeping, you know. And
Yeah.
we locked our doors and shut off the lights and went to sleep while the hotel was being evacuated.
I think it was I think Sean Drover, their drummer at the time, he like created he posted a video or something like that. He said something about like it was like the craziest thing. Like it was like there was like a typhoon going on. He was like describing what had happened that night.
The actual tornado of souls came to Manila
Yeah.
and it almost blew the hotel down. But Dave was like, "Fuck it, we're gonna sleep."
Hey, that is so
Yep.
metal. Hey, we're going to sleep, guys.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Oh man, that's oh god, that's gotta be like the coolest thing ever. And then I saw too that you guys had a Belphegor before too. Like I mean that's
Oh
those
yeah,
guys.
really nice guys, really good people. Helmet down, and I almost get an email from him, but I told him, after over 20 years, that was my last SummerSlam. We're not doing it again.
Yeah. I remember you telling me about that recently, and I know the park. I think it looks like you had Parkway Drive close it.
Yeah, really good band. I mean, I brought them when they were at the beginning of their career, and we brought them back, and they're really at a peak of their career. They're doing amazing global shows.
Hmm.
But the Philippines, the metal scene here is very weak.
Hmm. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's been yeah. I've we've for some previous interviews, we've gotten a pretty they've given us a few updates as to what's been going on as opposed to when I was in it before, and then when I was, from when I was there, from my time there, and then from like, till now, and some are saying, yeah, it's not exactly as strong as it was or if it ever had been. Yeah. Mhm.
Well, it was strong. Like, in certain years of Pulp Summer, we did very well.
Mhm.
The only SummerSlams that didn't do well was the first one, which I actually just named, and I wasn't really the organizer. I acquired it after that, and then the
Mhm.
last one.
In your expertise in the knowledge that you have, Vernon, what causes this? What can make it bounce back? Is this an economic thing? Is this people change and mindset of going and seeing a live show? What causes something like this to happen?
I can't speak for all of humanity, but I can speak for myself that first of all, putting together a live show is a tiring thing. And putting together a festival is an incredibly tiring thing. It's also an incredibly risky thing. And can you imagine, you're talking about your snow, but here, the heat, the humidity, can you imagine the risks we were taking? It's insane. Yeah, I mean, there's festival properties across Australia that are just folding. Maybe, yeah, economically, it's so expensive. to tour one band. What about 20 of them? You
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
what about 10 of them? And obviously everybody wants to make more money, and the concert goers don't want to pay like more money that all these guys want to get paid. So it makes it impossible. And the sponsors, like for so many years, like we survived, like SummerSlam survived basically without real sponsorship, like from companies. We had to live and die by the fans, by people who wanted to buy the tickets and believe understood that live performance is an art form, and when you buy a ticket, you support the show, you support this living art. So there, I just think, so again, not speaking myself, I think a festival experience is just too tiring. I'd rather just do headline shows,
Right,
you know.
for sure.
Um, I heard there was this huge show in the US with Metallica and Linkin Park that just canceled. And I have to suspect maybe the people who were underwriting it thought, you know, ticket sales are not going to support this.
There are some, yeah, it's been like
See,
that.
now it's funny that you say that because Colin, you might remember this. This
Okay,
was probably about 8, 9 years ago when
sure.
Metallica put that festival on out there at Belle Isle in Detroit.
I don't remember that, but okay.
You don't. They put on it was a festival out there on Belle Isle, the island outside of Detroit, at the
Right.
park.
Hmm.
Battlecross played there, a bunch of bands, and Metallica allegedly gave the city of Detroit a substantial contract and money up front to rent the land out for a couple years to put on a festival. But I imagine over time, with just economically and just how much it costs and how tiring it is, like Vernon said, they gave up on it and they were no longer going to do it there 3 years in a
Hmm.
row. But it did happen. I can't remember the name of that festival. You can YouTube it, but they were in Detroit and they did that big festival. But it is, another thing with the tickets over here. I experienced this a couple years ago. I wanted to go see Tool. They were playing downtown Detroit. So I got online to Ticketmaster and all the tickets were sold out. They had resale tickets, which means somebody bought a ticket and decided to resell it. But they were doing it for quadruple the face price of the ticket. So there's this thing happening in the States, and I'm sure other places as well, where somebody will buy up the tickets and then try to quadruple their profits. And Ticketmaster doesn't do anything to kind of circumvent this and stop it from happening.
Well, I mean, you've probably heard that's probably because that's their real business. I mean,
Yeah.
Master does own, I believe they own StubHub, so they just put up a show, then they buy their own tickets, they kind of sell it all out, then they quadruple the price, sometimes even more, and that's where the real money is made. I
Yeah.
mean, the ridiculous money.
They'll get
So
it one way or another.
yeah, that's the Dire Straits song all over again, money for nothing.
Um, to answer your question there, Dan, or to give you the right festival name for it, that was the Orion Music and More Festival.
Yes. Yes, that's what it was called.
Good name after their song.
It slipped my
Oh yeah.
mind.
Hmm. It was. It looks like it was pretty cool, but it's like but it showed it's already listed as was a festival, instead of being as a current festival. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I mean that's so I can see where he's coming from. Like the logistics of it, the costs, everything. It's just got to be probably just astronomical when you see the actual when you see the actual billing for it. You know what I mean?
I just there was a memory of mine that just came up. I went to Sonosphere. Have you heard of this festival?
Oh yeah.
In Indonesia, yeah, right.
Well, no, in the UK, and we went to the
Oh,
one
that's
in
right.
Nev
That's right. That was Times
that
Square.
was
Yeah,
headlined many years ago, over a decade ago, by the big four,
yeah. Hmm.
and I was invited by Anthrax, so we got to hang backstage and watch the shows from the stage itself. They built these elevated platforms on the side, and we watched Anthrax and Megadeth and Slayer on the side. When Metallica came on, They kind of kicked everybody out because you had to be part of the Metallica group for that. And I had never seen Metallica before, and I grew up, wanting to be a guitar player, and I learned a bunch of their songs. I mean, just like any other metal kid. And I was watching out of the crowd, and I got bored.
Hmm.
I said, I'd rather go backstage and have a Guinness.
Mhm. Right. Yeah.
And so me and my wife we went backstage and just had Guinness, and she took pictures of Lemmy, and
Oh God, let me.
yeah, I said, oh, baby, don't do that, because Lemmy's a legend. You gotta stop taking photos. He didn't even know who he was. He just thought he looked cool. I said, that's Lemmy, you know, leave that guy alone.
Yep. And then I was actually kind of like upset when I found out that he died. I was like, damn it. And then right around the same time, it was their drummer too had died. Phil Filthy Animal Taylor.
Yeah, the
Well,
original drummer.
well, he lived. I mean, he clearly lived a full life. So
Yeah, that is
Even
true.
even Lemmy, to find out that he lived this very basic life. He rented an apartment somewhere in LA around the corner from the Rainbow.
wow,
Hmm.
wow,
They
I
did a
didn't
whole
know that.
documentary, and it was just him just chain smoking cigarettes, drinking Jack Daniels out of this little apartment right
I
around
mean,
the corner from the Rainbow. And he would go there and play the gambling machine.
His
oh
his
God,
spot his spot's still there too. Like I guess a lot of people say it's like Lemmy's spot. Like, I see all over Facebook, all over Instagram, people like at Lemmy's spot. The picture where he was at, all the time. And he was even there during the when they did, was it Global Metal or Metal Headbangers Journey? He's actually sitting in that spot. You know,
cool, cool.
it was just, oh man. And yeah, but to piggyback off of what you said, Vernon, yeah, where you said that you kind of fell asleep when you were, or you got bored when you were watching Metallica. I mean, I hate to say this about Cradle of Filth. I've been a huge Cradle of Filth fan for years, but I seriously got so bored with their set. Like I'd waited like 15 years to watch them, and they go to
Yeah,
Detroit, and I spent so much money. I got all my buddies and all my friends and stuff like that. We had like two carloads of people, and then I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like, this is really. I'm like, I don't like this. This is not. This is so rehearsed, and I don't. It felt like it was just so rehearsed and so boring. I'm like, what the heck? Like the other bands I liked, before them, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? It felt weird.
yeah. I don't know. I
No
mean,
disrespect, but
yeah, yeah, I understand. Like, I mean, my experience, maybe, you know, the Metallica 10 years ago. I mean, the Metallica now is definitely a different Metallica from the Metallica of the 80s. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, it's a different energy. And ourselves, we've obviously gotten older. We've changed. You know,
Mhm.
everybody changes. And I guess with that change, our perspective changes, our energy changes, and
Mhm.
things are different. And that's fine. You know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was. What was it? Because I was when I saw that you did have Parkway Drive closed, the Pulp Summer Slam thing. I wanted to ask you that too. It's like, I mean, are they were they really really courteous people? Were they really nice guys to you?
We're awesome. I mean, I did the deal directly with the band, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, they manage. I think they manage themselves. Their guitar player, I think Luke, is the one who's the
Yeah,
manager.
yeah. Really straight up guy, good to deal with. All of them great people. Winston is just incredible. Um, they have I mean, amazing. I just have this image of Winston when he was doing his set. He didn't know. It seemed that his pants got a hole in his pants right where his groin is, and he was doing his heavy metal stuff with this. People could see his underwear.
Oh my God. Yeah,
I
that's
know.
definitely.
I seen footage of that show of Parkway Drive. That was it was a nice ass set.
Hmm.
Yeah, I gave them as much pyro as we could. I mean, we couldn't really. I mean, the show was losing money, but I still had to put pyro there.
Hmm.
Well,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
I'm glad I'm glad you ended you know that festival with somebody like Parkway Drive. That
Oh,
was an
it was a
awesome
great
set.
lineup. It's ridiculous. Like, I think you could go to see that show for like in the conversion of probably at 30, $40 US to
Oh
see all
wow.
the bands. That's stupid. So I realized like with just selling a few thousand tickets, I said, this is a waste of time. I'm 52. Fuck this shit. I,
Yeah.
I have two kids. I need to make sure that they're okay. There's just not enough metal people here to support. I mean, you could invite a band and put them in a shitty venue, and you know, but I don't like doing those shows. That's so crappy.
Right.
No, it's like disrespect. It's not respectful to the artist. It's not respectful to the music. It sure is hella fun for the fans because they don't give a shit if the audio is not great or the lighting is shit.
Right.
They just want to take their selfies with whoever.
Mhm.
Vernon, are you familiar with Timbaland bassist, the singer? With
Yeah. Oh
yeah, what he
gosh.
did. I met that guy back in 2008, and what a sweetheart of a guy. I spent time talking to him,
Yeah.
and just apparently, stuff happened that sent him down a bad path,
Yeah.
and he never really fully recovered. But what a damn shame because they were killing it for so many damn years.
Yeah. Oh gosh. That's too bad. That's a sad one. Yeah. That one is a sad story.
That guy was he was such a nice, genuine guy when I met him, and it was cool. So when everything happened, I was like, oh, now more stuff. There's new news that comes out every week. There's viral videos of this guy, and it's like, God
Good thing.
Almighty.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys a question. Why do you do this podcast? What's the purpose of the podcast?
I mean, for me, it's just one of those things. I enjoy talking about metal, and it's like, I want to get to like-minded people that I knew out there in the Philippines, people that I, haven't really had much chance to talk to, but completely respect, you know what I mean? Yourself as well, you know what I mean? And it's just like, kind of get everybody else's perspectives on things, and it makes me it's kind of like an outlet for me, sort of like how music is as well. You know what I mean? And it really it's one of those things that I want to kind of do it. I do it because, just like you, I love music. You know what I mean? And I want to talk with like-minded people. Mhm.
I see the clock is running out, and I wanted to say, um, the last SummerSlam was supposed to be headlined, and I had it confirmed. It was promoted, headlined by Iron Maiden, and it was,
Mhm.
I don't know if you, the poster looked awesome,
Mhm.
but it didn't work out because of COVID, and we shelved that idea. I mean, I was probably saved by COVID because sales were not the initial sales were not great at all
Uh-huh.
for a
Right.
band like Iron Maiden. But recently, um, a friend had reached out to me just a couple of months ago and said, "Hey, Vernon, Iron Maiden will be in Japan," and I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And my wife goes, "You should go see him." I said, "Why?" And she said, "You've never seen Iron Maiden." I was like, "Yeah." And so I ended up going to see Iron Maiden. You know,
Yes.
it was an awesome experience. I mean, dude, my first vinyl purchase was Peace of Mind. So seeing Iron Maiden, like we had great seats too. Not
Mhm.
in the mosh pit, but on the side and a great view of the stage, and it was surreal. Being in discovering the band when I was 11 and seeing them when I'm in my early 50s. It's
Mhm.
for the first time. It was just an amazing experience, and I'm again lucky that my wife pushed me to do it, just like she
Mhm.
pushed me to do Aerosmith, and she pushed me to go see Iron Maiden.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, you have to
Speaking of
see. You
speaking
got to
that
of
see
was
them too with
Iron Maiden, speaking of Iron Maiden, I got a funny story about that. I got a cup here. Can anybody read what this cup says?
and Force One.
They came and played a show in Detroit, and a friend of mine worked at the airport in a special planes area. So he did celebrities, bands, and Ed Force One pulled up. He had no idea who they were, and I told him, and I said, "Get me a souvenir." So he said, "I got this from the pilot of the plane. He was a really nice English guy that smoked cigarettes, real short. He had no idea about Bruce Dickinson. So he said, I got this cup for you." And I had to explain it to him. I said, "That was Bruce." I showed him a picture on my phone. He said, "Yeah, that's the guy." I didn't know he was the singer. He was the pilot. But he's like, told him my friend wanted a souvenir. You know, he was depressed that he couldn't go to the concert, so he got me this cup. It's an airline cup.
That's crazy.
One. Yeah, yeah. So Vernon, surely in your years of doing what you do, you've had to, I don't know, how have you ever had to play welcome person for a band when they come over to the Philippines and they want to have somebody take them around and show them stuff before they play? Have you had any experience that was really fun with a band where you got to go out and show them the culture and show them the country and have an experience with them and one that sticks out to you?
Um, Usually there's not time for that. But I mean, as you mentioned earlier, like there was a time when we did take Shadows Fall, Darkest Hour. We took them to Boracay. Um, I don't know why I did that, but yeah, we did that. Usually, like I arrange a welcome dinner if the schedule allows. Um, but and there are times where we just now, I mean, we have so many people that work for the company. We basically assign people to do that if they want. If the artist wants to visit maybe Intramuros, which is the remnants of the the Spanish colonial period. But again, by and large, there really isn't time for that.
See, I
And,
thought
and
there'd be a cool karaoke bar story.
well, I mean the 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 barbecue chicken place had a karaoke machine, and Jonathan and Matt took that over, and they were singing like old like White Snake songs and Journey. I think crazy shit. Yeah.
So when you first got Slayer there, I mean, like it seemed I saw some pictures of you with like Tom and everything like that. I mean, is he like because I see in interviews he's always smiling. Is this true? Does he always like have like a big smile on his face?
Oh yeah, he's Tom's super happy guy. He's a really good guy. I remember the first show we did, and I told him, I said, guys, you have to come back and you have to headline my festival, Pulp Summer Slam. And a couple of years later, that's what we did. And it was the last, well, at that time, it was the last Slayer show. And it
Hmm.
probably will be the last Slayer show um, in Asia or at least the Philippines.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, because they were because I know that they just came back recently or something like that for like some sort of a show or something like that recent. I don't know what festival it was that they just did, but it
They
was
did the Riot Festival in Chicago, and then they were supposed to do, I believe, another one. I think it was called Louder Than Life, but bad weather, outdoor festivals don't mix, so that got canceled.
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I think my read there is Tom really just doesn't want to tour.
Hmm.
He's but Kerry wants to tour. Kerry wants he doesn't he wasn't I mean he didn't want to retire Slayer, but unfortunately, when if your singer doesn't want to tour, it's a problem.
That is true. That is very true. You know that they that they the other people want to be in the band, but not anybody else. You know what I mean? It's just it's. I think everybody's got to be on the same page in order to be able to do it. You know what I mean? Mhm.
But there's something to be said about just bands in general. Touring is not the same for every act that's out there. Not everybody's going to be the Rolling Stones,
Yeah,
and I'm sure what's his face Nico from Iron Maiden just retired last night at
yeah,
2 years
Mm.
old, and
yeah.
everybody would like to think of Iron Maiden as this amazing band, and I'm sure they're doing well for themselves, but I'm sure they don't have certain things like, dare I say her name, a Taylor Swift or the Rolling Stones. So
Well, I remember watching. I was mentioning earlier. I went to see Iron Maiden in Nagoya, and it was actually this place called Aki City. Anyway, we were observing Nico, and Nico seemed to be moving very slow. Like, and yeah. So again, yeah. I'm very thankful for seeing that show because, well, that was it.
Well, yeah, that's I mean, when I saw that last night too, I was just kind of like, dude, I'm like, dude, there's no way that Nico McBrain left. And I'm like, damn it. And he because it's kind of like, okay, what's going to happen with Maiden? But then you think about it, it's like, yeah, they're kind of getting up there in age. I think they're like in their 60s or 70s or something like that now. And
Yeah.
and they've been doing this probably since I want to say maybe the 70s, 80s. You know what I mean? And
Oh, like Bruce Still's running around that stage, running around the ramps. Oh my God.
uh, same
even
with
I
Ringo
go
Starr.
back to watching an interview with Black Sabbath when they were on their farewell tour, and everybody seemed to be in good spirits, even though they didn't have Bill Ward. Bummer. But
Right.
they interviewed Tony Iommi, or he spoke up during one of the interviews. That's when he was going through his chemo treatment. And
Oh man.
Black Sabbath brings in the big dollars, so that he had enough money for doctors, nutritionists, everybody to make him comfortable on tour. But he said, at the end of the day, it is hard at our age to continue doing this. It's the travel. The best part is playing a show, not sitting in the back of a dressing room, on an airplane, on a tour bus, on a shuttle. It's just taxing. So a lot of these guys are getting up there, and unless you absolutely have every creature comfort to make the day go by better for you, it's just not, they don't want to do it. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
our
I
heroes
think
are getting up there. It's a sad thing. It's the
it
changing of the torch.
is. Yeah, that is the hardest thing about it. Sometimes I worry about the newer generation of it because it seems like not many people are really like in the younger generations are very keen to what metal is now. They don't seem to be very much into it. However, there are some that there's still that I've seen. There's some like younger bands that were born. Some of these kids that were born like around 97, 98, 99. Some of them, there's some that I still feel there's a little bit of hope, but it seems I don't it pains me to see that it could end up dying eventually. I don't want that to happen. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it'll. I think it'll just trend. It'll be different.
Mhm.
I don't think metal will go away. I think it'll just be different.
That Vernon, a good question. What you've done for, you know, in your career, do you think the emergence of the digital sector of music, how we consume it, downloading, streaming services, the lack of seeding the physical content, do you see any similarities with what that's done for the music industry on affecting the promotion side of it, is turnout, crowds, sponsorship? Do you think they kind of go together, or it affected it, or is it just they're two completely different aspects of the industry?
Well, I think the my wife actually just taught me how to use Spotify not too long ago. I find it absolutely incredible. Like I just think of a song that I listened to as a kid. Like I just went through this whole Judas Priest phase where I could just go to their discography and look for this obscure album like Point of Entry, and wow, that's one of my, I love that album, and I
Mhm.
listen to the songs there. So again, I think it sure it detracts from some aspects of the music experience that we had when we grew up because it was limited. I mean, we had to have the cassette, we had to have the vinyl, and
Mhm.
like last night we did a show with this band from Australia, Last Dinosaurs, and they brought stacks of vinyl and sold really well. People were buying vinyl. They're fans.
Right on. Yeah, that's you know, I guess maybe I'm old school. I guess I'm old school in that sense too, that like I kind of prefer the more like physical media, you know what I mean? Just to have that stuff.
So the reason why I brought that up about last night is, there are going to be fans that are going to seek out that physical medium, and
Mhm.
people will find that you do have a different experience from just typing in a song name and playing that song, and you have a more intimate experience where you have an actual
Oh
physical
yes.
item, and then you have everything there, the sleeve, the smell
Mhm.
of the paper, the lyric sheet, you know,
Mhm.
those are all part of a more intimate music experience. And I think clearly I can see that people know that. That's why they're buying vinyl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
See, my thing growing up was, and we're all from the same school, and what we liked was, man, you had to get it on vinyl, cassette, or CD, and or the mixtape cassettes that people would make bootleg, where it
tape
was a
trading.
bunch of
Yep.
songs.
Miss
But
that
the
tape
cool
trading.
thing about it was I was so anxious as a teenager to get an album or a cassette, and then I couldn't wait for when they came on tour, and I heard it on the
Mhm.
radio, and I'd go buy tickets.
Mhm.
Nowadays, I feel like it's just secondary. Somebody can listen to a streaming service, and I have all the streaming services, and I love it. Like Vern said, being able to go look up an album or a song or something that brings, and it's instant. I don't have to thumb through my CDs or my vinyls or cassettes. But I feel like because people have that mindset, they don't want to go necessarily see live music right away. Then on the contrary, there is good music, and people are going to pay to see it no matter how or where. So there
Mhm.
is that argument. But I feel like with the streaming stuff, and my personal
Mhm.
opinion is that it's turned the music industry into like a fast food industry. I want it now, I want it quick, I want it fast. And I feel like in some aspects, the live concept is kind of dwindling because of that, because people are like, well, I got the album, I can listen to it. They're not diehards that necessarily want to go out in the numbers like we grew up with going to live shows.
Mhm.
I think it's probably cycles. I mean, we did another show on December 5 with this kind of TikTok star. Her name is Wisp, and there were fans there that were really young and that had never been to a show before, and they were like, "This is my first concert," and they came out really happy. So, again, I think it's just cycles.
Mhm. Right on.
Now, Vernon, there has to be one that got away. Was there a band that you wanted so hard and you tried so hard that was like the one that got away, the one that no matter how hard you tried, you just couldn't make it happen, the one that got away?
Oh, that would be Slipknot. I mean, I signed them in 2004 when they had this great album, The Subliminal Verses. I signed them a
Awesome
couple
album.
of other
Awesome
times, and they always just canceled.
Oh,
You know,
man.
but
album.
it's okay. It's okay.
But it's like, um, well, I mean, the one that I was, because I've been wondering that thing, thank you, Dan, for asking that, because I was wondering that too, because I was like, man, I would have thought Slipknot would have came, but then now that you mentioned that, did you ever try to get like any other punk bands out, like maybe like Rancid or like Green Day or anything like that before?
Rancid, I turned down.
You
You
turned
know,
down?
the I have a very pessimistic opinion about. First, I think the metal fans here locally, there's just not enough of them. And
Mhm.
the punk fans, ever since like 20 years ago, they didn't want to pay for tickets, and they're not
Mhm.
changing. You know, punk's not dead, but punk still don't want to buy tickets.
They're going to
Oh,
GG Allen their way into the venue.
oh my
They're
God.
just gonna, they're just gonna stay outside until
Mhm.
you know you you just let them in for free. But me, I never do that. I just watch the show by myself.
Mhm.
I'm not
Yeah.
letting those guys in for free. We paid you.
No, oh, definitely, of course. Well, I think one of the last pulp shows I went to, that wasn't SummerSlam. I think it was Lamb of God, Black Dahlia Murder.
Yeah.
At the man, oh my God, that was really cool. I just remember that prior to the show, though, I think there was like some sort of a issue. I guess it was like a little bit of, it was like the start was delayed, if I remember correctly. Somebody had said something about that. I guess one of the, I guess something was going on with the sound system or something like that, which is why it was delayed when you guys started. And that's what I was told anyway. I don't know what the heck happened. But when we got in, oh man, it was awesome. I remember getting to see like, Lamb of God and like Black Dahlia Murder just killing it, and then of course me being born and raised in Michigan, where Dan is at, that was kind of like cool to see like some hometown heroes, like the Black Dahlia Murder actually in the Philippines, and seeing Trevor Strnad, may he rest in peace, just right there, I'm thinking, dude, oh my God, I'm like, dudes, the dudes from my home state are actually here playing in the Philippines in this gigantic venue with Lamb of God. I mean, can it get any better than this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
just,
I don't recall what the issue was, but
I think if I remember, I thought I heard somebody say something about like the board, like the was it like the soundboard got fried or something like that, or some kind of thing was going on with like the soundboard, some sort of soundboard issue or something.
knows. I can't remember.
All right, I'm gonna piggyback off of Colin real quick, Vernon. you
Okay.
might have, hopefully you don't have too many, but give me an event that you put on and everything just went wrong and you were ready to pull your hair out and like, this is a fucking shit show. What else can go wrong? What was it that went down? And you got to have one of those moments.
No, there was
No.
never a show where we wanted to throw in the towel. There was a show where there's so little sales. Like I remember, and we still put the show on. We still, I remember one of the artists standing beside me before the show was going to open. And he says to me, "Oh, I can't wait to come back here, Vernon." And we had sold maybe 60 tickets to a venue that would take 2,000 people. And this guy was saying this to me, and I was, like a comic strip with the bubble coming out of my head. Yes, you can certainly come back as a tourist. You know,
But you never
yeah.
had anything crazy going, like the venue that you booked said act at, like the PA went down, there was a logistical issue, electrical
Well,
issue, just something stupid, like somebody blew up the shitter.
when we our K-pop shows are when we started doing K-pop, it was very difficult because, the tour parties of the Koreans in the beginning there were like 100 people. They had us rent the venue for a whole 5 day setup, like a 5+1. So it's like you have all this expense and all this work for the entire week for a one-off show. That's very hard. But again, like it wasn't something that we didn't work through and we didn't get the show done. So no, I mean there's never that to my memory.
Remember?
Like it was
Yeah.
hard, but there were hard times. There were shitty times like that show. I think it was Every Time I Die and the Acacia Strain show.
Okay.
And yeah, they had no fans, no paying fans. There's a bunch of people outside. We didn't let them in.
Oh no. Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, there was somebody said the Acacia Strain, and yeah, somebody told me about that. Yeah, there wasn't really that many people at the show at all, something like that for it. I think was that at the Amaranto Theater?
No, no, that was at the World Trade Center.
That was the World Trade Center for Acacia Strain.
That's why it
Oh
was
wow.
so sad because it was this gigantic venue for like
Mhm.
thousands of people, and there was like 60 ticket sales.
Man.
Damn. Oh my God. Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, oh no. No, but Dan, if you ever saw that venue, man, it's huge, man. That World Trade Center, there's like this gigantic, looks like a gigantic convention center on one side, and then like there's another building on the other side. Oh my God, it's just huge, dude. It's just huge.
So
It's like
almost something like the Cobo Plaza down in Detroit. Huge.
sort of,
Okay.
yeah. It's like pretty, it's huge. It's really like it's definitely like the place for metal. You know what I mean? It's like the place for like just the acoustics in it are awesome. It's like it's like the to me, it was like the premier place to play for metal bands. You know what I mean? It seemed like that was really cool, and the
I think
Amaranto Theater too.
I think the guy who told me, he can't wait to come back, he went on to become a wrestler in the WWE.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, funny.
Oh no, in the
Yeah,
WWE.
and he wanted to marry our road manager at the time or something like that. I said,
Chris
yeah,
Jericho?
I don't.
go
Oh,
get it. No, no,
Chris.
his name's Andy.
Oh yeah, no, he's the big built guitar player with the handlebar mustache.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say the band, but yeah, I know who you're talking about. He's in AEW now.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Okay.
AEW.
I'm not going to give
Oh
it
man.
away, but I know exactly who you're talking about. He's
Right
built
on.
like a fucking shit brick house too. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Damn. If remember correctly, though, was it you that brought over Kill Switch Engage or no?
I did a couple
You
of
brought over
times.
Kill Switch. Right on. Because I think it was like I think I remember Jordan Mancino or something like that, like had covered for their drummer at one point or something like that. I think Jordan Mancino
Yeah,
came out
that's
with
right.
them.
Yep. Yep.
It was Jordan. Yeah, it was like because I wanted to go to that show too. I think that was the one. I don't remember where it was held, but like I was so upset because I had to work that night. I couldn't freaking go to that show. I was like, damn it, I'm here in the same spot I'm at, but I can't freaking go to it because I'm like, I go, oh, oh my God, it was horrible. But I mean, with them though, as you know, Adam Dutkowitz, their guitar player, he's like the craziest one, right?
Yeah,
Was
funny
he
guy.
like was he as crazy in person as he is usually as he portrays himself to be?
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
Was he funny guy? Right on. Well, he wasn't wearing a cape or anything, was he? Yeah, on the stage and
I think he did. I think one of the shows he did wear a cape.
he
Yeah.
wore the cape. Oh my God.
Now, Vernon, is there anybody that sticks out of all the bands and band members that you can remember where you had maybe a fixed thought in your head of how they were going to be personality wise, and then you met them, you're like, oh wow, this is completely different.
No, I haven't. Again, I've said I'm sorry. It's not as exciting answer, but most of these people are really nice people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Generally good
remember meeting
reputation.
Doyle from the Misfits. He played a venue out here, and me and the wife went to go see him. And I had this as a fan, like, man, this he's everybody knows what Doyle looks like, bodybuilder. And my buddy actually worked sound at said venue, so I got to spend time backstage and at the soundboard, and I did the meet and greet and all that with him. Doyle had a little Pomeranian, and after the show was done and the meet and greet, and I was backstage as the band was loading out, I got to talk to him. Super cool Jersey, Brooklyn guy, but he had this little Pomeranian with a towel wrapped around him, and he was just sitting there talking so soft. I would have never thought that. Super nice guy, though.
Isn't he the
Uh-huh.
husband of Alyssa?
Yes,
Well, listen,
boyfriend,
like there's
husband from
hmm,
Arch Enemy.
Yeah. Yeah.
he used to be in what band was he in before?
I don't know. They were just
It was a,
here.
it was a Canadian band. They were from Canada.
Yeah,
It was a
she's
female fronted band from Canada, and she got the Arch Enemy gig because Angela actually picked her out. Said, the agonist, I think it was.
Yeah, that's right. Agonist. Oh man. That was and then wait, did Ginger ever play there? I think they did, didn't they?
SummerSlam, and we have them coming back in February.
Ginger?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. I've been like I've been like trying for like months to try to get a hold of Tatiana, but I can't get a hold of her. It's so crazy. You know
Well,
that
I'm sure she's busy.
oh yeah, yeah. I would imagine so, but it's just kind of like, oh man. Ah, but so with that and with because I think Ginger, yeah, you said it was SummerSlam, so I mean, what was that reception like? I mean, were people really receptive toward them? Because I don't
Yeah, yeah, that was a great show.
yeah.
I mean, that's why I booked them again. I mean, I think they're great. It's a great band. They're great performers. They're nice people.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Okay.
I would love to come over and see a show over in the Philippines so bad. I just feel like the US is getting really bland with like going and seeing shows. Like the crowds just seem
It'd be
so
it'd be so
dead.
expensive for you to fly here to see a show.
Mhm.
But I can get all the good food, so it's a win-win.
There you go.
I
It's a
love
win-win
Filipino
situation.
food. It's a
Well,
win-win. Colin got me hooked on Filipino food and karaoke,
at
so
least
I'm
at
sure
least
there's two birds with one stone.
you'll escape the snow.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, that was but then anyway, for sure. But All right. Well, Vernon, we definitely want to
Yeah,
thank you for coming onto the show and everything
no
like that, and
problem.
talking with us and everything like that.
I
We hope to talk to you again soon, for sure.
I
If you ever.
I enjoyed it. I mean, you helped refresh some memories. Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome, man. And of course, guys, remember as well to always like and subscribe. We are on Spotify now. We're hopefully going to be on other streaming platforms very soon. I'm still working on it, I promise. And we're also on YouTube. And again, remember, like and subscribe. Whatever you like, what you see. You like this interview with Vernon? Maybe we can get him back on here again. And once again, thank you for watching Entering the Darkness. We love you guys. Peace.
Support live music.